Imagine trying to find a profound, ego-shattering inner peace while your phone is simultaneously trying to feed you a highly dramatic, viral video about a goat-herding ex-wife.
Yeah, it's quite the contrast.
It really is. That bizarre, chaotic intersection is exactly where modern spirituality lives today. We aren't, packing our bags and traveling to remote monasteries and quiet mountain ranges anymore. Enlightenment is currently just a push notification away.
Right. The physical journey has basically been completely replaced by a digital one. You're sitting in traffic, your blood pressure spiking, and your device serves up a guided meditation to bring you back to baseline.
Exactly. Which brings us to the mission of today's deep dive. We are exploring the massive ecosystem of modern digital spirituality and mental wellness. We have gathered a really fascinating stack of material for this.
We have platform engagement analytics, video transcripts, app user flows, and a ton of audience data.
And all of it is centering on the massive online footprint of spiritual guide B.K. Shivani. We are going to decode how ancient spiritual concepts are being repackaged, scaled, and consumed in the algorithmic age.
Because whether you are looking for ways to manage your own stress or seeking answers to big life questions, this exploration reveals the hidden mechanics of modern wellness.
Or even if you're just curious about how millions of people are outsourcing their inner peace to their smartphones. The real question is, when we trade the monastery for the smartphone, does the medium change the message?
Oh, it fundamentally alters it. We are shifting from an environment of complete physical detachment of the monastery to an environment engineered for constant connection and interruption.
And the language being used to bridge that gap is the first thing that really jumps out from the video transcripts. If you look at B.K. Shivani's content library, the phrasing is incredibly deliberate.
It's very specific, yeah.
Right. We are seeing video titles like Rewire Your Brain using 3 superpowers, or create high vibration thoughts in every situation.
And there's the one about clearing your home of heavy negative energy.
Yes. And one that really caught my attention was finish suffering release past karma baggage.
That specific phrasing is doing some very heavy lifting. We are basically witnessing a brilliant merging of 2 completely distinct lexicons.
What do you mean by 2 distinct lexicons?
Well, the first relies on the modern buzzwords of psychology and technology. Words like rewire, reprogram, anxiety, and vibration. A secular, stressed-out, modern professional completely understands those terms. They sound actionable.
They sound scientific, too. Like rewiring evokes neuroplasticity. It implies that my brain is a piece of hardware I can optimize, rather than, a mysterious soul I need to save.
Exactly. But then, seamlessly integrated into that exact same sentence, you find deeply traditional spiritual and religious concepts. Things like karma baggage, blessing, or God.
So blending these 2 worlds functions as sort of a psychological bridge for the listener.
Precisely, because if you approach a stressed corporate manager and tell them to cleanse their soul of past sins, you will likely trigger cognitive friction.
Right. They might feel alienated or defensive. They might just view the concept as unscientific.
But if you tell them to release past karma baggage to rewire their brain, the resistance drops. It feels like forward-thinking self-improvement. It lowers the barrier to entry for the modern, secular individual seeking mental relief.
It operates almost like a linguistic Trojan horse. Or, I don't know, slipping a vitamin into a gummy bear. You use these tech-friendly, optimization-focused words to deliver ancient meditation practices.
That have been around for centuries, yeah.
But here's where I struggle with this framework. Do you think framing these deep ancient teachings as superpowers or talking about reprogramming the mind cheapens the process?
That's a very valid concern.
Because does it make the the lifelong work of spiritual growth feel like a quick software update to a stressed out listener?
The risk of commodification is absolutely present. The promise of a software update implies instant gratification. You click a button, a progress bar loads, and your operating system runs flawlessly.
Which we all know human consciousness doesn't work like. It's frustratingly nonlinear.
Exactly. The danger is that the listener expects immediate results and abandons the practice when the rewiring takes years instead of minutes.
Right.
However, looking at the sheer volume of engagement, this hybrid language is arguably the most efficient onboarding Mayanism available.
Because the modern mind is conditioned by the internet to look for hacks and immediate solutions.
Yes, speaking to the seeker in the language of efficiency gets them through the door.
Okay, so the catchy title gets the click. But language alone doesn't build an empire of this size. There has to be a delivery mechanism that takes these hacked concepts and actually embeds them into a person's life.
And scaling that requires a meticulously structured multi-platform infrastructure. The data from the sources is just staggering.
We're talking massive numbers, right?
Huge. B.K. Shivani's main channel holds 6.4 million subscribers, and the reach extends far beyond a niche spiritual audience.
Right. There was that simple Q&A video on marriage, produced in collaboration with the lifestyle platform Curly Tails. That one pulled in 2.2 million views.
And it's not just video content. The strategy completely blankets the user's daily media consumption. You have the physical book, The Power of One Thought, Master your mind, master your life.
And then the teachings are integrated into a tech layer with the ThinkRight.me app, which pushes daily affirmations to the user's phone.
On top of that, there are strategic collaborations with highly credentialed figures. We're talking medical professionals like Dr. Mohit Gupta and corporate leaders like Raja Navani.
The presence of those medical and corporate figures seems like a really crucial piece of the architecture.
It really is. It addresses the authority bias of the modern consumer. It signals to the audience that this practice isn't fringe mysticism. It is supported by clinical medicine and utilized by successful business executives.
It covers every base of modern credibility.
But the most vital component is that app integration. Historically, engaging with spiritual knowledge meant attending a passive weekend lecture or retreat.
You take notes, you feel deeply inspired, and then by Tuesday morning's commute, the inspiration has completely evaporated.
The realities of the inbox take over. But the multi-platform approach, specifically the app, solves that drop-off by creating an interactive habit loop designed for the smartphone era.
Okay, break that down for me. How does the habit loop work here?
Well, in behavioral psychology, a habit loop requires a cue, a routine, and a reward.
Yeah.
Knowledge is only valuable when applied. The push notification serves as the cue.
So it interrupts the mundane moments of your day and forces the application of the knowledge.
Exactly.
I get that it's incredibly accessible, and I understand the behavioral mechanics, the prompt triggers the behavior, but I have a really hard time reconciling the underlying paradox of this entire system.
The paradox of using the device itself.
Yes, we are talking about using the smartphone to deliver inner peace. This is the exact same device that causes a massive percentage of our modern anxiety.
That is the ultimate irony.
Can an app notification truly replace deep, uninterrupted contemplation? It feels a bit like trying to run an antivirus scan while you are actively downloading malware.
I love that analogy. It captures the cognitive conflict perfectly. The smartphone is fundamentally engineered to fracture attention.
Right. If my phone is constantly fracturing my attention with emails, news alerts, and social media, how can it simultaneously be the vessel for my enlightenment?
It's a huge challenge. Every single application on that device is fighting for a fraction of your cognitive load.
So when a mindfulness app sends you a push notification to breathe or release karma baggage, it's competing with everything else.
Exactly. That notification is competing on a screen alongside alerts designed to induce urgency or panic. Can this digital habit loop replace the depth of uninterrupted silence? Absolutely not.
Then what are we actually achieving here?
We are achieving a necessary compromise for the modern worker.
Because for someone navigating a 12-hour shift, commuting, and managing a household, disappearing to a quiet mountain range is a logistical impossibility.
Right. The digital ecosystem sacrifices the profound depth of silence for the frequency of daily reminders. It essentially allows the user to microdose mindfulness throughout a chaotic day.
Microdosing mindfulness. That perfectly describes the user experience. But that brings us to the most unpredictable variable in this entire deep dive.
The algorithm.
Yes. We've analyzed the carefully curated infrastructure, like the hybrid language, the books, the daily habit loop apps.
But when you move out of the controlled environment of the app and into broader platforms like YouTube, you are entering the Wild West of the internet.
Exactly. What actually happens to this carefully curated inner peace when it collides with the recommendation algorithm?
The collision reveals the harsh reality of seeking mindfulness online. The controlled environment vanishes, and the user's attention is immediately contested by the platform's underlying architecture.
Let's walk through the actual media diet of your experiences, based on the platform analytics. Think about your own scrolling habits.
Right. You open the app, trying to improve your mental state.
You see a deeply contemplative video on Carl Jung's shadow work titled, "Talk to Yourself This Way and Your Life Will Heal."
And right below that, the algorithm offers some profound Buddhist advice for aging parents.
Yeah, a video titled, "In Old Age, Don't Do These 4 Things for Your Adult Children. You're Destroying Yourself." Both are philosophical, slow-paced pieces of content requiring high cognitive engagement.
But then, served up by the exact same algorithm, literally sitting right next to these tools for enlightenment, is the most highly dramatic viral clickbait imaginable.
The source has highlighted a specific video with a staggering 9.5 million views.
Oh, the goat herding one.
Yes. The title translates to a story about a divorced husband who disappears, returns 8 years later as a powerful district magistrate, only to find his ex-wife grazing goats by the side of the road.
The juxtaposition is absurd. You have Carl Jung's shadow work sharing screen space with a goat-herding soap opera.
It's wild. It's like trying to hold a deep, serene, meditative pose in the middle of a loud, chaotic carnival.
That is exactly what it's like.
There are flashing lights, people screaming on roller coasters, someone is shoving cotton candy in your face, and you are just sitting there trying to focus on your breath.
It's basically impossible.
How is a listener supposed to maintain that high vibration when the very next click, tempted by the algorithm, is a deeply dramatic 9 million view story about revenge and social status?
Well, this is the fundamental challenge. The environment you are using is engineered for distraction and high emotional volatility. The algorithm powering the platform does not possess a moral compass.
It does not differentiate between spiritual enlightenment and petty gossip.
Exactly. It calculates watch time, click-through rates, and engagement. It has one single directive: keep the user on the platform. It's a completely neutral machine feeding on human psychology.
And human psychology is inherently drawn to narrative conflict and status changes.
A story about a husband becoming a magistrate while his ex-wife herds goats taps into deep, primitive parts of the brain that monitor social hierarchy and tribal gossip.
That primitive response is incredibly powerful.
So when you log on with the intention to rewire your brain and cultivate high vibration thoughts, you are immediately challenged by an environment designed to trigger your lowest vibration impulses.
Maintaining focus in that environment requires an immense amount of cognitive discipline.
The digital age has created a fascination dichotomy. The practice of mindfulness is now easier to access than at any point in human history, but it is infinitely harder to execute.
Because in previous centuries, the primary obstacle was access to knowledge. You had to physically travel to find a teacher or a specific text.
Today, the knowledge is abundant and freely available in your pocket. The primary obstacle now is filtering out the noise.
The digital spiritual seeker has to become a ruthless gatekeeper of their own attention.
Exactly.
Taking all of this into account, what does this mean for the person listening to this right now? When they open their phone tomorrow morning, how should they navigate this space?
It requires a fundamental reevaluation of our relationship with the tools we use for self-improvement.
Meaning we have to be highly intentional.
Yes. If you are consuming content on platforms funded by an attention economy, you must recognize that the platform's ultimate goal is your engagement, not your enlightenment.
So engaging with digital wellness requires a highly active, defensive posture. You cannot simply float down the algorithmic stream.
Because the current will inevitably pull you away from contemplative philosophy and put you directly into the goat-herding soap opera.
You really have to curate your own digital ashram. You have to build the walls yourself.
You have to utilize the technology without allowing the technology to utilize you, which is a supreme irony, because doing so requires the exact type of focus and intentionality that you are logging on to learn in the first place.
To bring all of these threads together, we've explored how modern spirituality uses a hybrid language of tech and tradition to reach millions.
We've mapped out how these teachings scale through a multi-platform infrastructure, using habit loop psychology and push notifications to microdose mindfulness throughout the day.
And we've confronted the chaotic reality that this entire ecosystem exists within an algorithmic environment that constantly threatens to pull our focus toward viral, high-drama distractions.
The environment demands active participation. Knowledge, especially spiritual or psychological insight, only holds value when it is understood and applied with clear intention.
For you, the listener, the takeaway is about that intention. When you seek out content to better yourself or to manage your anxiety, you must be deeply mindful of the digital arena you are stepping into.
It is loud, it is optimized for distraction, and it wants your attention above all else.
Which leaves us with a critical question regarding control. I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day.
And it's a difficult but entirely necessary question to ask before you unlock your screen.
We talked at length about how our brains are constantly being rewired. But if our minds are being shaped on one side by the calming affirmations we choose to click on, and on the other side by the chaotic, dramatic, algorithmic recommendations we are passively fed, who is actually the architect of our minds today? Is it us or the platforms we use?
It certainly makes you view that remote mountain retreat in a different light.
Maybe packing our bags wasn't just about finding silence in nature. Maybe it was about physically leaving the algorithm behind. Until next time, keep diving deep.